Shalom and good day all, this is Healing29 back again for manga I have recently read through between July to August 2024 as we slowly draw into September, and this is some of the other manga that I've been reading in between in this time, and as you can see there's quite a number of titles. I have counted like how many volumes there are, so there's about 29 volumes. So starting off with Vagabond, volume 6 to 12. It was nice to finally collect the rest of this set and finally finish up to volume 12. But I must admit there are sort of like volumes I don't like as much as others. Next is Parasite and Fist of the North Star. We have Char's Counter Attack, which connects to the Gundam universe. We have Trojan X, which I've got 2 volumes there, so I think it's 5 and 6 there. Then we've got Windbreaker 4 and 5, which I have really enjoyed the anime, and I've also got a review for that set that go up on the channel. Who knows, by the time that this video goes out, the review might already be out for it. We have Fruits Basket Another, which was surprisingly interesting towards the end. Next we have Unordinary, which is a bit of a manhwa, followed by another manhwa called Reborn Rich. Definitely an interesting story, both of them. Moving into Red Hood Outlaws, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I do have a slight criticism towards it, but I'll wait until I get to the rating. Of course, we have the webtoon manhwa of Wayne Family Adventures. This just keeps getting better and better every time. Moving into some manga which I haven't caught up with for a long time, and that is some Shaman King. And I must admit, it was really nice to begin to catch up, as this sort of like takes place around the time of like the first key tournament and moving into sort of like after the tournament. And also what happens next. We have Hunter x Hunter, Volume 37 by Togashi. And last but not least, we have Radiant. So now I'll move towards the rating of like some of the volumes in this series, or the volumes in this series connected to manga titles. And starting off with Vagabond, in this we sort of, in volumes sort of like 6 to about, I think it's 8 or 9, we follow basically a bit of a rival character in relation to the character Musashi. I must admit, I did feel like the story lost its way a bit. And for this, I'm going to give just these particular volumes a 7 out of 10. I really think it could have picked up a little bit more around what was happening with the character Musashi. We were told by the character that he had experienced lots of fights, but we weren't really shown that the character had gone through lots of fights. Though we got to see what his rival was doing in his fighting, and sort of like how he sort of like comes across more like the villain to the series. But we got to see how that character like became the villain from like beginning to where he finally meets up with Musashi. Once it comes to volumes around 9 to 12, this is where the story seems to pick up a little bit more. It does seem to improve, to which I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Though should any more volumes come out, it is of course subject to change. I must admit, I think the first 5 volumes of this series were way better than some of the later volumes of this series. Jumping into Parasite, I must admit, it was nice to catch up with Parasite once again, even though this is Parasite actually in color manga, but not in black and white, even though you can still collect it in black and white. It was really nice to continue off where the main character left off from. to which we finally get to learn a little bit more as to what the parasites are actually doing in the universe, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Fist of the North Star, I feel like this volume 12 is trying to pick up where it left up from in like a previous volume, but now we're getting sort of like to see a bigger kingdom and or empire that's taken the place of like another place. And we have the character of Kenshiro plus whoever his allies are in going up against his kingdom, to which I give a 7.5 out of 10. Moving into Char's counterattack, yes, this is something that we do encounter the character of Hathaway, and it was really nice to see the character of Hathaway in the story, along with Amuro Ray and many others that make up the story of Char's counterattack. To that, I give a 7.5 out of 10. For Trojans, volumes 5 and 6, I give a 7 out of 10. Windbreaker, I must admit, I really like Windbreaker. And I think with these two volumes, they sort of like cover just before, these two volumes, 4 and 5, cover like just before the end of like the first season of the anime. And we do finally get to meet up with Renkaji, but it's not until sort of like the next volume that we finally get to meet sort of like the top, or some of the top prefects, I guess, of this school. For this, I give an 8 out of 10. I've really enjoyed it so far. Fruits Basket, another. Once finally reading to the end of this particular series, volumes 3 and 4, I give it a 7.5 out of 10, as it sort of felt more like a, what if this happened to be the ending in relation to if these characters had kids. Next we have Unordinary, a manhwa. It's nice to actually get some manhwa through here. And with this we get to see a new protagonist and also new supporting character of the protagonist, as they seek to sort of like bring a form of equality amongst the students. But we do learn that each of these students have certain abilities. It's almost like UA high school, but not UA high school. Next is actually something a little bit different that I saw and decided to pick up, and it's a series called Reborn Rich. This is the first volume. I'm certainly interested enough to pick up the second volume, depending when that comes out, and hopefully I'm still around when it comes out. As it follows a character who has a bit of a vendetta against a person who sort of like led to his murder, but we do learn that as he's sort of like been reborn in his world, he's now sort of like the child of a rich family, where beforehand he was sort of like something else. He does try to investigate something like involving his previous family, and it's sort of like in that time that he learns about the previous family that he came from, he feels like he's sort of like, what happened before, was it actually a lie, or is it still the truth being covered up? So we've got that air of mystery. For that, I give a 7.5 out of 10. Next is Red Hood Outlaws. Now, I must admit, I did enjoy reading for Red Hood Outlaws Volume 1 and Volume 2. My only criticism with it, though, with it being put in the trade, like the Webtoon trade, is that it doesn't really give chapters like the Wayne Family Adventures does. And that's where it really needs to pick up. I enjoyed the story, but where it lacks is that area. So for that, it's getting a 7 out of 10 from me. Wayne Family Adventures, I've enjoyed every volume I've read so far. So volumes 3 to 5, an 8 out of 10. Next is moving into the area of Shaman King. Of course, these are the Shaman King omnibuses brought out through Kodansha. Definitely an 8 out of 10. Because the story gets quite brutal. Next is Hunter x Hunter. I must admit, it's been ages since I've caught up with Hunter x Hunter. And learning about sort of like the families that are on this whale and heading on the way to the Dark Continent has certainly been interesting, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And last but not least, we return to the character of Seth, but we also learned that Seth's brother is around in volume 17, and it looks like he's getting ready to defect or change sides so he's able to protect his brother. With what's occurring with like other characters such as Doc and other friends that Seth has made along the way, I'm certainly looking forward to where this story will go. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.